Good morning. The March 18, 2015 meeting of the Board of Investment is now called to order. Madam Deputy Controller, are there any corrections? In the interest of promoting the order and efficiency of these hearings, persons who are disruptive to the hearings will be asked to leave the hearing room immediately. Madam Deputy Controller, are there any corrections, additions, or referrals on the agenda?
Good morning. For today's agenda, the board received protests for pages 50 to 51, items 1 and 2 from R.E. Harrington Plumbing and Heating Company, Inc. As a result of item page 50 to 51, item 1 and 2 will be moved to the non-routine agenda. The board also received a protest from Ms. Kim Trueheart for all items on the agenda. The board did review her protest, however, it will not be heard. I have the following abstentions to note. There are no abstentions for the Honorable Mayor Rawlins Gray. The Honorable President Young will abstain on pages 39 to 40. 41, number 1. Page 42 to 43, items 4 and 5. Pages 44 to 45, items 7, 8, and 9. And pages 56 to 60, items 1 and 2. The Honorable Comptroller Pratt will abstain on page 3, pages 12 to 13, page 21, item 3, and pages 53 to 54, item number 4. The item that is on the non-routine agenda for today is page 50 to 51, items 1 and 2. Mr. President, members of the board, those are the protests received as well as the abstentions noted for today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I would direct the board's member attention to the memorandum from my office dated March the 16th, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items, together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by the Deputy Controller. I will entertain a motion to approve all of the items contained on the routine agenda.
Move approval of all items on the routine agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The routine agenda has been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 50, items 1 and 2, Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering and Construction, WC 1308R, urgent need metering, infrastructure repairs and replacement, various location and associated transfer of funds. The departments, please come forward.
How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Art Shapiro, Chief of Engineering and Construction, and I'm presenting contract WC 1308R. It's the contract name is for AMR, Urgent Need Metering Infrastructure. The project was advertised November 7th, 2014, with bids received on December 10th, 2014. There were no addenda. The bids were received from 3 firms: R.E. Harrington Plumbing for $2.699 million, Metra Industries for $3.184,415 million, and Spinello Companies $3.463,300 million. The low bidder, the apparent low bidder, R.E. Harrington, had an irregularity in their bid form, and it was decided to make a recommendation to award to the second low bidder, Metra Industries.
You have to talk in the mic.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I should be used to this having said there. But thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is Edward Smith, Jr. on behalf of the lower bidder in this matter.
Mr. Smith, I'm sorry to interrupt. So just to gently remind you that if you haven't already registered as an executive lobbyist up the Ethics Board on the 6th floor, you need to do that within a few days of today's proceedings.
I thank you very much, Mr. Solicitor, and we'll follow through with that.
Yeah, nice to see you guys.
It's always good to see you, sir. At this time, we would like to present the owner of R.E. Harrington, Mr. Harrington, to give testimony on this matter. Mr. Harrington? Oh, I'm sorry, Monique.
Good morning, board members. Good morning, President, Mayor, City Council. My name is S. Monique Smith. I'm the COO of R.E. Harrington Plumbing and Heating. And we present today this water contract that we bidded where there was an error made, and it went through the process. To my knowledge, we have about 95% of the WBEs and MBEs who had worked and agreed to work on this contract with us at the time. They're present today. Basically, this process is something that kind of goes on forever and a day when it comes to bidding. You actually reach out to the MBEs and the WBEs. So we are familiar with the process, but we'll never be perfect. The goal is to follow the rules as best to our ability and adhere. So in this particular case, every single MBE and WBE that we partnered with had already submitted and recommended the work that they wanted to do and the rates that they wanted to work under. It was our goal, and we've always super exceeded what we've done with the MBEs and the WBEs on the contract, is to bring them in under those numbers. So when the error was made, we quickly identified it, and I actually presented the information to all affiliates across the board just to have it reviewed. So basically, at this time, we're looking to reflect that because it's not a perfect world and it's a tedious process that will forever go on, the competitor, too, had made an error similar to, and so at this stage, when you look at the lowest responsive bidder, we still are the lowest responsibility, and the attorney has been presented with documentation to reflect that. Also, on behalf of R.E. Harrington Plumbing and Heating, the attorney submitted a protest, and we did too, and the details were attached.
If I may, there was another presentation?
Yes, I would like to.
I don't mind waiting for that now.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, President, and other members of the board. I'm Plus B. Jones Sr. I'm the president of Maryland Auto Contract Association. And I'm here representing one of my members, Robert Harrington, who's a good, upstanding member with the association. And also, I just want to, the error which they are speaking of is that on the MBE form, there was some whiteout put on the MBE form and it wasn't initial. Nothing changes for the dollar value. The MBEs are still getting the dollar they expected, and they are here to attest to that. And the same thing happened on a contract probably a year and a half ago, contract 877, Archer Weston, and the same exact thing happened, and this board awarded the contract. So I will ask this board, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, can you give us the contract number again?
877.
And what was, it was,
It was a Back River Archer Weston contract.
8/14/2013, sanitary contract for backwater.
And when you say the same thing happened in that instance, could you describe what happened in that instance?
There was some whiteout put on a number, and it wasn't initial. There was no initials put beside it.
And was that a question or issue raised before the board?
Yeah, yes, I was here, and I think the board waived that, which they have the right to do.
Are you quite certain that it was specifically raised to the board and the board addressed it right out?
Yes, it
Yes,
was.
yes.
August 13th, 2013.
And may I ask a question? Did you bring this point up to us for today's contract in advance so we can do the research as you claiming now? Or you just bringing it up now?
No, the protest that was made by the COO was to that point, because that.
No, I'm talking about the 877.
The protest that, the COO made a protest as well, and that issue has been raised.
No, I'm speaking for the specific SC 877, the specific incident that you bring up to us today. Was that brought up in this letter? No, I don't see that
It's
anywhere.
not in the letter.
Okay, so-
But certainly it's a part of the board's record.
Understand, but we
as
need time to research and so on, all that, right? You don't expect us to respond to that.
We expect just to present the issue to the
Okay,
board.
that's
so
fine.
For their consideration, and we're sure that you will make the appropriate disposition.
Okay.
It would be in the future and now, it would have been better had you brought that prior incident to our attention in the written protest so that we could have done that research and be prepared to deal with it as you ask us to now. But because we're only learning about this now, it makes it difficult for us to give weight to your argument.
Yes, we understand, but it really deals with, Mr. Solicitor, to the impact of the situation as to whether or not it was a de minimis error or it's an error of such magnitude that there should be a concern and therefore disqualification. So we thought it would be in the best interest of the MBE, WBE, to make this clear as a precedent as to whether or not this has impact.
You do understand that in terms of prior actions by the board, when the issue has been raised about changes being made on the statement of intent and the pages and the changes not being initial, the board has consistently and on many occasions rejected those bids for that very reason.
We are familiar.
So you're familiar with that fact, that historical fact, but you're saying now that there was this one occasion in 2013 when the issue was whiteout and the board did not reject that particular bid, is per your recollection.
I have
Yes.
a question. Is it time sensitive? Is there enough time for us to take a look at this, or is it time sensitive?
I don't know about the contract. I cannot speak to what issues they're speaking about a prior contract. I can tell you that the statement of intent is very
I'm
clear,
sorry.
and as far as any changes have
Could
to
you introduce
I'm
yourself
sorry.
by name?
Pam Shevitz, Minority and Women's Business Opportunity Office.
Thank you.
We reviewed the bid of R.E. Harrington Plumbing and Heating, and we found that there were whiteouts and there was changes on the statement of intent. And MWU has been consistent as far as any changes on statement of intent forms have to be initialed by both parties. It's very clearly stated on all of the statement of intent forms. That's why the bid was determined non-compliant. I can't speak to that particular contract or the conditions that were on that contract.
If I may, Mr. Chair, can anyone speak to the urgency of this contract, or do we have a week to look into it?
My name is Art Shapiro, now OEC. This is, we've bid this contract specifically several times already.
Yeah, I just need to know if we can look, we have a week to look into it, that's all.
I think we have a week to look into it.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say on your protest now while we're here?
Well, obviously, Mr. Solicitor, there has been a situation on the protest where the next lowest bidder had a problem with its presentation to the board.
Would you like to elaborate on what that problem was?
Yes, the CEO.
Can you talk in the mic,
I'm
please?
sorry, the COO will elaborate on that this time.
Yes, as I mentioned before, and with the documentation that you requested, which is attached, once it goes through the MBE-WBE board, one of the vendors, J&J Adams, is a supplier, and there is an ordinance that reflects that you cannot supersede the dollar amount of 25% of the MBE participation. Now, by all means, as a small business and an MBE, I'm definitely in favor of overpaying any subcontractor or an MBE. But in this case, the violation actually occurred because, again, you cannot pay more than 15% of the 25% allowed amount. And my calculation is in the copy of the protest that I submitted, so that documentation reflects it there. And it wasn't caught when it went through the MBE-WBE process. So again, when you're looking at two contractors that vetted, one person made an error, another person made an error. At the end of the day, we're back at the same gate, which would truly reflect that the lowest responsive bidder, saving the city close to $500,000 in this case, it would kind of behoove us to support. I mean, I'm looking for a recommendation in that favor. So again, don't get me wrong, I overpay my Bs and WBs, but when you look at the incidents that actually occurred, the documents are there to support it.
This is with regard to the Adams?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Shevitz, would you like to address the issue
Yes.
relative to the Adams?
We reviewed the bid of Metra Industries as well, and we determined them to be compliant with the 15 and the 4% MBE and WBE goal. And the reason is we considered the participation of J&J Adams to be a services contract on this particular contract, so therefore that 25% limit does not apply.
that's tasting, that would have gave me an opportunity to know something like that. That's an internal piece that I wouldn't have been aware of, which would have then gave me too an opportunity to
just giving it back.
overlook subs and MBs. But I understand.
I wouldn't
Thank you.
consider that overpaying the subs, but it's a
Thank you.
different rule that is applicable.
Well, is there a motion to
Yes,
defer?
I would move that we deny that part of the protest that relates to the Adams firm and Metro Industries, and that we defer ruling on the protest with regard to the altered statement of intent for 1 week while we review the records of the transaction that you referred to in August of 13, and that when we return next week, the discussion will be limited entirely and solely to that alteration and the prior precedent and what import it has for today.
Okay.
Let me just, I would feel more comfortable if you say it was on that issue and not entirely. If something else comes up, I would prefer that they bring it up so we can deal with it in this week.
If anything else comes up besides that one issue of the whited out statement of intent, you need to direct a writing to the board that gets here well in advance of next week's hearing.
Mr. Solicitor, and Mr. Chairman, let me ask you whether or not, because we do have all of the subs here in support, obviously, of our bid, will it be necessary to bring them back, or will you take somewhat notice that they were here and that they are in support?
Well, if you just want to identify the subs who are here that we haven't heard from yet,
Yes, sir.
that could be a part of the record
Thank
tonight.
you very much. Then I shall do so. We have P&J Contracting. We have Kim Engineering. I'm sorry, Kim is not here. We have Demcoli LLC, Riviera Enterprises, Economic International, KL Phillips Trucking. We have LETKE Security Contractors, and Charles Tillman Paving. They are all here.
So those are all subcontractors who would like us to rule in Harrington's favor on.
That is correct, and they would say that there is no substantial changes in the amount that they anticipated receiving as a result of the contract, and that what has been done is consistent with their procedures in applying as MBEs.
Will the subs stand on the table?
That's a,
Thank you. There's a motion on
Is
the
there a
floor.
second?
Second.
All those,
Excuse me, Honorable Mayor, Mr. President. I'm the Vice President of Metro Industries.
State your name.
Robert DePonte, Vice President of Metro Industries.
Before you start talking, I just want you to make sure you understand that the motion on the floor would dismiss the protest against your company. Are you sure you want to continue to talk?
I understand. I just wanted to mention that I wanted to know when the protest came in, and I wasn't afforded the opportunity to bring counsel to this
So
meeting.
you understand again that the protest has been denied.
Yes.
with regard to your bid. So
Yes.
your bid is upheld as a compliant bid, and the only issue that will come, that's before us now and that will come back next week is the claim of Harrington that their bid should not be disallowed.
Yes. I
And
do.
you're welcome to come back with counsel to participate in the proceedings on that issue, the Harrington bid, next week.
Yes. Thank you.
all right, is the motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. You motion?
We're done.
We're done. We're done.
Thank you very much. May I be excused?
What you doing?
There have been no more business before the board. The board will recess until bid opening at 12 noon.
A lot of money. And Disney is Disney. No, they don't. And Disney is cheap. Actually, last time they didn't go to Disney, they went to Universal because they said Disney babies. They wanted to go to Disney. No, I said Disney is not cheap. So I said there's a lot of money involved in this because Disney is not cheap. And neither is Universal. That's what they want.
Okay. Good afternoon. The Board of Education is now in session for the receiving and opening of bids. There are no addenda for today. B50003978, portable air compressor with trailer. A bid bond is not required. Might be in the front. Keep in the front, keep in the front. Okay. You can share this one. Sometimes they just don't do it. But they did. They did. We'll share this one. Millennium Products, $90,975. Thank you. I'm sorry. Millennium Products, $90,975. Sure. Corelli Inc., $99,450.
Refer these bids to the Bureau of Purchases for tabulation and report.
WC 1230, Pretty Boy Reservoir Dam Gatehouse Facility Improvements. A bid bond is required if the amount is over $100,000. Ciambro Corporation with a bid bond. $3,430,918. The Whiting Turner Contracting Company with a bid bond. $2,214,000 $600. This, I think. Right. Yeah. Right. We can't determine that. And that's why they have to look at it, because you really don't know what you have. I make a motion to refer the bid of Johnston Construction Company to the Law Department for review.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The matter been having properly moved and second, it is referred to the Law Department for review. Thank you.
That's probably the last one. Okay. Did you do referral?
Refer these bids to the Bureau of Water and Wastewater for tabulation and report.
Here's the next one. WC 11R, AMI, urgent need pavement and sidewalk restoration, various locations. Okay, great. Thank you. Let me reread that number. I may have read it incorrectly. WC 1311R, AMIR, urgent need pavement and sidewalk restoration, various locations. A bid bond is required if the amount is over $100,000. P. Flanagan and Sons Incorporated with a bid bond. $5,949,895. Monumental Paving and Excavating, Inc. with a bid bond. $4,495,792.50.
Refer these bids to the Bureau of Water and Wastewater for tabulation and report. Thank you.
B5000 397 thank you. 3973, thank you. Hydraulic hoses and fittings. A bid bond is not required. They have multiple pricing here. I can find it. It's an item there. It's an item, so we can't reprice. I don't see a total anywhere. This is an item bid, so prices will not be read. TIPCO Technologies, Inc.
Refer this bid to the Bureau of Purchases for tabulation and report.
I'm recalling B50003903, Electronic Material Collection and Recycling Services. This bid was originally opened and received for this particular bid solicitation on February 11th, 2015. On that date, on February 11, 2015, when the bids were open for B50003903, we did not have the bid in the possession of the city at that time of Vintage Tech. However, upon review and investigation, it was determined that while it was not in the possession of the city at 11 o'clock a.m., it was available for pickup by the city at the USPS on Fayette Street before 11 o'clock a.m. The law department reviewed this, and an opinion was issued which determined that this can be viewed as a technical defect that the board may waive. I am therefore making a motion that the board waive this as a technical defect and it not be precedential but specific to these facts, and that the board would authorize that the bid of Vintage Tech LLC be opened.
I make a motion that we
Second.
open the bid.
Just a second.
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 All in favor, say aye. Aye. The matter having, none opposed, the matter having been properly moved and second, the bid is accepted.
Okay. I need something open.
For opening.
For opening, yes. I need something open.
So-
Okay, to open it, okay. Thank you.
And let the record reflect that the envelope is still in its sealed container, being opened in public.
That's the original. Okay, I need the original. Okay. Here's a copy. And here's one more. Just open it anyway. It's a third one. I'm not quite sure. And here's the third one. Okay.
It's heavy to have the price sheet.
Yeah, so we're looking for one. Let me see. It should be page B4. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes. Thanks.
You do need it. Thank you. Now, let me make sure this is it. The basis for the award. That's it? Is that it? Okay. Vintage Tech LLC, $511,200.
Refer these bids back to the Bureau of Purchases for tabulation and report.
Thank you. There being no further business, we are adjourned. Thank you. We'll take this one out. After 2 o'clock, these are available at room 215. I'm sorry, 2 and 4, I'm sorry. Right, if you go out the door to the right, ma'am, they'll be available there. Same place we dropped off at, I'm gonna kick this out. Okay, thank you all, thank you very much. Okay, no check. Here's their envelope, I'm gonna keep them all together. You won't know otherwise. That's what I'm saying, I'm gonna make sure. that-
Oh, let me just make sure I'm
Their envelope.
sending this back. Okay. It did go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, see you all later, thanks very much. Okay.
These kinds of instances, they're always a service provider. What they're doing here in this particular construction, which is fairly common, is that they're providing oil and actually fueling the construction equipment that's on site. So they're going around servicing the equipment. So it's not that they're just providing the oil and